members in the Southeast Asia region. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk to you about how to secure your resources with RPKI and IRT. So in today's presentation, okay, just hang on a second. So it's not moving to the slide.
No, the slide.
Yeah, no. Okay, it's moving now.
Yeah. Wait, this one, please.
Just now it was. Oh.
Can we try with this one?
Okay. Sorry about that. So let me start again. Good morning, everyone. My name is Zen. I'm from APNIC services team, and I mainly look after members in the Southeast Asia region. So the topic of my presentation today is securing your resources with RPKI and IRT. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk to you on three main areas. So the first one being IPv4 and AS number transfer policy. And then I'm going to talk to you about APNIC routing registry, which involves RPKI and ROA. And I'm also going to talk to you about the recent policy changes to the IRT context. So let's start with IPv4 and AS number transfer policy. So who can you transfer IPv4 address and AS numbers to? So you can transfer IPv4 addresses between APNIC members, and NIR members, and between APNIC members and IRR members. NIR stands for National Internet Registries. In this region, we have 7 NIR, and the module was set up many years ago, and they no longer can be set up in that way. So they have a similar role with APNIC, but they serves in a country level. So they delegate IP address to specific countries. So for example, we have CNIC, IDNIC for Indonesia, KRNIC for Korea, and so on. So we have 7 of them. And IRR stands for Regional Internet Registries, where they are a counterpart of APNIC, and we have 5 IRRs in the world. One serves the North American region, one serves the South American region, one serves the Europe region, and one serves the African region, and we are APNIC, we serve the Asia Pacific region. And the spirit of this policy is to allow members to transfer any of their unused IPv4 address and AS numbers to those members who still have a need for them. As you all know, IPv4 address is exhausting soon. So as we speak, Erin has already exhausted their IPv4 address. But in the industry, there are still many organizations, they still need IPv4 address to run their network because they are still not ready to deploy the IPv6 address yet. So that's why we still have this transfer policy to ease the exhaustion of IPv4. So for transferring IPv4 and AS numbers between APNIC members, how do you initiate the transfer request? So to start with, the source account will need to initiate the transfer request through my APNIC. And once that is done, the recipient account will then log into my APNIC to accept the transfer request. And the recipient account will need to demonstrate the need that they have the need for this IPv4 address that will be transferred. It is similar to when an organization is applying for new addresses from APNIC. And there is a transfer fee for the recipient account. It's a 20% of the annual renewal fee of the resources that will be transferred into the account. So for example, if you're transferring a /22 into your account, there will be a transfer fee of 20% of the renewal fee of a /22. And for transferring between IPv4 and AS number between APNIC member and NIR member, and vice versa, or NIR member to APNIC member. So how does the process work? The source account will need to initiate the transfer request with the internet registries. For example, if a member of CNIC is wanting to transfer the resources to a member of APNIC, then the source account will contact CNIC, and CNIC will then contact APNIC. We will then contact our member to carry out the evaluation process. And there are two common questions coming from member often. So who will be evaluating the request? Yes, the internet registry of the recipient account will be evaluating the transfer request. And how long does the process take? Actually, this depends on how long the recipient account respond back with the IR. So the quicker they respond, the quicker we can finalize the transfer request. So if you ask me how long, I would say it would take maybe around 1 to 2 weeks time for us to evaluate and approve your transfer request. And same thing, transferring between APNIC members and other IRR members. At the moment, we have two IRR that, excuse me, two IRR that can accommodate this transfer policy, which is RIPE and ARIN. RIPE is the regional internet registry for the European region, and ARIN is the internet registry for the North American region. But for this transfer request, there will be a 20% transfer fee applied to either the source or recipient account of APNIC member. So if you are transferring out, you get a 20% transfer fee charge. And if you are transferring in as a APNIC member, you will also get a 20% transfer fee charge. We also have a few transfer services that facilitates the transfers. So for example, we have something called IPv4 transfer pre-approval. So what this does is the member still does not know where the resources is coming from. They're still waiting, but while you're waiting, you can complete a transfer pre-approval. So you are getting pre-approved first before you actually transfer any resources into your account. And once your request is approved, you can ask APNIC to list your organization needs on the listing page. So anyone who has additional IPv4 address and they are willing to transfer to your organization, they will come to this page and they can then contact you. They actually contact APNIC, and we can then pass on their contact details to you. and then it's up to you as a recipient account to talk to the source account. So we have this, one of the services to facilitate the transfers. We also have something called registered brokers. We have a page that lists all APNIC registered brokers, but please be mindful that they are not APNIC agents, and we are not involved in the fees that they charge. But as a broker, they usually have lots of information on who actually has the additional IPv4 address to transfer away. So you can contact them, and they usually charge you a fee. So they will do something like a matchmaking. They know who needs the IP address, and they know who has the additional IPv4 address. We have something called mailing list. So what you can do is you can also subscribe to the mailing list. We have a mailing list called APNIC Transfers from this mailing list link. And on the mailing list, you can either share, as a source account, if you have additional IPv4 address, you can discuss that on the mailing list and say, hey, I'm such and such company, I have this much of IPv4 address, and I'm willing to transfer them away. So anyone who needs more IP address can then maybe reply back to you on the mailing list and say that I'm this company and I need this much of IPv4 address. While on this topic, I'd like to talk to you about a policy that has implemented back in 2017 December, which is the policy proposal 116. And this, the spirit of this policy is for newcomers in the industry to kickstart their business. So what this policy says is the author proposed that we do not allow members to transfer any 103/8 block that is delegated for less than 5 years. So for example, I think many of you are APNIC members. If you have received any addresses from the 103 block, and if it's delegated for less than 5 years from the initial delegation date, then you're not allowed to transfer them away, because the original plan of 103, if you read into that, is for newcomers in the industry to kickstart their business. It's not for organization to come and apply and then transfer them into one account. So that's not the spirit of the 103 block. That's why we have this policy implemented. Okay, so what happened next? Assuming that you have transferred your IPv4 address, some IPv4 address into your account. So I'm going to talk to you about APNIC WHOIS database and the routing registries. So as you all know, we have a database called APNIC WHOIS database, and this database acts as two databases in one. So one is the public network management database, where it contains all the WHOIS information, such as your IP address details and the context, the custodian of the IP address block. And at the same time, APNIC WHOIS database is also acting as a routing registry. So it contains routing information, such as which AS number is announcing which IP prefix. And APNIC routing registries is part of the global Internet Routing Registry database. So APNIC has agreement, NRTM agreement with few other databases. So NRTM stands for Near Real-Time Mirroring with such few databases such as IDB, NTT, CNIC, APNIC, IDNIC, and so on. So what this does is any route objects that you register in APNIC WHOIS database is going to be mirrored to all these databases. So I know if you wish to have a route object registered in RIDB, usually RIDB will charge you some fees. But if you are APNIC member, what you can do is you can register your route object in APNIC WHOIS database, and that will get mirrored to RIDB, where you no longer need to pay them any fees. Because many service providers nowadays, they actually require your route object to be registered on RIDB before they are willing to announce your IP prefix. So I know in the industry there is such a requirement out there. So that's a benefit of if you are APNIC member and if you need a route object to be registered on RIDB. So a few objects that are listed on APNIC WHOIS database that is related to the routing registries are these few: route object, route 6, ODNAM, ASZ, and so on. I'm not going to details of each of these objects, but just to let you have a look what these objects, what are the objects that are related to the routing registry. So for route and route 6, route object is for IPv4 address, basically. So in the origin, if you can see, in the origin part, so that is the AS number that is announcing that prefix. So this route object shows this AS number is announcing this IP prefix. So it's for information showing. And for route 6 is for IPv6 block, showing which AS number is announcing which IPv6 block. And then we have something called ASZ object. So if you have a group of AS numbers with the same routing policy, you might want to register a ASZ object. And underneath this ASZ object, you can group all the AS numbers with the same routing policy. Okay, so apart from the route object, I'm going to talk to you about another object called ROA. So ROA stands for Route Origin Authorization. So it is an object sits underneath the framework called RPKI. So RPKI is Resource Public Key Infrastructure, and it is the framework initiated by OIR, and the purpose is to secure the global routing table. So as I mentioned, route object is to show, just for information showing which AS number is announcing which IP prefix. But ROA, over here, you are giving as a IP prefix holder, you are authorizing which AS number is allowed to announce your IP prefix. So that is the concept of ROA. And inside ROA, what is contained inside a ROA? A ROA has an AS number that you have authorized to announce a prefix. Of course, it has the prefix information. And it also has something called the most specific prefix. We call it max length, maximum length. So for example, if you have a /22, right? And you can put the max length as a /24, which means you're allowing the AS numbers to announce your IP prefix of a /22 down to a /24 level. So you can have 4 /24 between a /22. You're allowing the AS numbers to announce down to a /24 level. So what that max length actually means. And let's have a look at some stats on the resource certification. So as of 2018, January, We have around 13% of members that have activated their resource certification in my APNIC. And currently we have 14.4 there, so there's a 1.4% growth of the resource certification. So it shows down the line that many members have actually activated their RPKI resource certification feature in my APNIC to register their ROA. So something to note is, if you look at IPv6 address, we can see a good increment of 4.95% currently compared to 2018. So there's a big jump in the ROA registered for IPv6 address. So let's have a look at the ROA adoption in the Southeast Asia region. So leading the pack, we have Philippines with 83.9%, and followed by Laos, we have 68.89%. But please note that this is not a competition that, that I'm promoting over here, but I do like to recommend, encourage everyone here to register your ROA. But please let me clarify that registering a ROA actually does not mean anything. But if you register a ROA, and if you start running the RPKI validation on your network, then it becomes very powerful. It will filter out all the invalid announcement on the BGP table, because you have authorized which AS number is allowed to announce your prefix, right? But to start with, obviously you need to start registering your ROA first. So that's the first step. So anyone would like to have a guess on what is the ROA registration rate in Myanmar? Anyone want to pick a number? Do you know? No idea. Okay, so let me show the answer to you. So how is Myanmar doing? Myanmar is doing quite well with 66.13% ROA adoption rate. So I got this maybe 1 week ago. I think it's pretty accurate as of now. But at the same time, I would also like to use a success story of Nepal. So Nepal is a country in the South Asia region. So about 2 months ago, the ROA adoption rate was around 40%. And they managed to bring it up to 93% as of now in just 2 months. So maybe I can use this success story to encourage the networks in Myanmar to actually start registering a ROA. So if you manage to bring it up to, follow the footstep of Nepal in 2 months' time, to bring it up to 90%, I hope. If you're able to do that, then you actually will be the highest in the Southeast Asia region. So do you think that is doable? Easy? So what you do is you log into MyPinic, activate your resource certification, and start registering a ROA for your prefix. That will actually bump up the ROA adoption rate in Myanmar overall. So can I ask you to start doing that from today onwards? But if you have any questions, I will be here today and tomorrow. I have a booth outside. Come and talk to me on how to register a ROA, and I have some free giveaways. So let's move on. Here's a snapshot inside my APNIC to show you how you can actually register your ROA. So you have the prefix to show which prefix you are registering. You have the origin AS to show which AS number is allowed to announce your IP prefix. And you have the max length, most specific announcement So this interface actually allows you to register your route object and ROA at the same time. Okay, and more stats for you. So globally, we have around 10.05% announcement on the BGP routing table that has ROA registered. But at the same time, we also have around 0.8% showing as invalid routes. So what this means is they have registered ROA object which is not matching the announcement. So we observe that many invalid routes are gradually increasing due to the people are not registering their ROA object correctly. So in APNIC region, we have around 6% of the announcement that has ROA registered and around 1% that's showing as invalid. So for instance, if you're announcing a /22, right? If you're announcing a /22 on the routing table, but if you have only registered a ROA for /22, that announcement actually becomes invalid. And if any network is doing a RPKI validation, your announcement will be dropped because the ROA actually says you're allowed to announce a /24 only. So in this example, and you're announcing a /22, so that announcement is invalid. So I'd like to also encourage you to register your ROA correctly, not just registering your ROA. You need to know what is on the routing table, and you need to know which prefix you need to register for the ROA. And while on this topic, I'd like to talk to you about one policy that got implemented recently at APNIC 48, which is a conference that just happened in Chiang Mai last year. So what this policy says is this policy has asked APNIC to register a ROA with origin AS0. So with AS number 0 for all IP prefix that are still not delegated by APNIC, so all unallocated address space. And the spirit of this policy is to restrict the invalid announcement on the BGP table of such space, right? Because by accident or by purpose, some people actually will try to announce the prefix that are still not delegated by APNIC. And I would also like to talk to you about another policy that has reached consensus earlier in APNIC 46, which is policy Prop 125, validation of abused mailbox and other IRT emails. So what this policy says is the author wanted the network administrator to validate their email address and make sure that they are correct every 6 months. So as an APNIC member, you might have noticed we have implemented this in my APNIC. So if you have not validated your IRT object, on the next screen, when you log in, you will see this. We will ask you to confirm your organization contact details and the email address in your IRT object. So we will send a validation link to the email address that is listed in your IRT. You need to log into that email address and click on the validation link to validate that your email address is still working and correct. So failing to do this, we will temporarily lock your account until you complete this step. So this is what the recent policy change to the IRT context. And I think this is a good initiative because many email address listed on the IRT object in WHOIS database is actually incorrect and not contactable. So with this policy in place, I believe it will greatly, improve the context in the IRT object, and people can actually report the network incidents to the correct contact email address in the IRT object. So before I end my presentation here, I'd like to invite everyone to attend our next conference in Melbourne, APNIC 40i, which is 49, which is in conjunction with APRICOT 2020. It will be held very, very soon, actually next month, from 12th to 21st of February. So I believe you can still register your attendance if you really want to attend this conference. And if you're not able to do that, I also like to invite you to attend our next conference later in the year in September in Dhaka, Bangladesh, APNIC 50. So with that, I end my presentation here. I'm happy to take any questions from the floor, if you have any. And I'd also like to let you know that I will be here today and tomorrow with my colleague Warren from the training team. Yeah, Warren is sitting over there. He's waving to you. And so if you have any questions about your membership, about APNIC, about anything at all on this presentation, please feel free to come to me. I also have a booth outside. I have some free gifts to give away. So please do come say hi and ask your questions to me, to us. So at the meantime, any questions from the floor?
Any question?
Hi, this is Terry from AWS. Hi, Zen. You mentioned about the route register mirroring from APNIC to other entities like RADB.
Yes.
So do you know how soon is that mirroring happen? Is it in a daily basis or is it real time?
It's not, from what I know is, I've observed a few cases where they are not immediate, but RIDB do have their own timeline. Maybe they update, they mirror every 24 hours or every 2 hours to get mirrored to their database. So for the actual timeline, we need to double check that with RIDB on how often they actually mirrored from our database.
Sure. Any more questions?
You get a free gift if you ask a question.
So I have one question.
Okay, you got a
If
free gift.
RADB record and the APNIC record is conflict, I mean it's the same prefix, but configuration is different ES number, who will be preferred? I mean, prefix is the same, but ES number is different from the RADB and APNIC record. Which will be preferred when you synchronize? When you database synchronize?
So if you register the route object in WHOIS database,
Yes.
the
WHOIS database?
the whole route object will be mirrored across to RIDB.
RADB.
Yeah, but I do not see why there is a difference in the AS number.
We have experience. We own these prefixes, and APNIC records is correct.
Yes.
Any other people cannot change. But RADB record, everyone can log in and they change record. So even our own prefix number, sometimes we notice is a binding to the another ES number. So that kind of problem we face before.
Okay. So from my experience is if the prefix has been transferred away and the original custodian, sometimes they just forget to ask RIDB to update their route objects in their RIDB record. So actually the custodian should contact the RIDB and ask them to remove any route objects that contain any invalid AS numbers. So they should ask RIDB to update their
Yes.
database.
In case, let's say APNIC record is correct, no one cannot change, or
Yeah.
just only owner can do.
Yes.
So APNIC record and RADB record, and when you synchronize, so APNIC record can override to the RADB record.
So when you're mirroring over,
There's a mirroring over the RADB.
yeah, so they're actually mirroring from APNIC, who is database.
Your mirroring is your APNIC database will be mirrored to the RADB, right?
Yes.
Yes, at that time,
Yeah.
record may not correct. Existing RADB, they may have a record, but a different pointing to the ES number. But APNIC
Okay.
will be different.
Yeah. So from my understanding, it will not remove that the existing route object in RIDB. A new records will be created. So when you search RIDB, you will see two separate route objects with two different AS numbers. But
Right.
the incorrect one, the IP prefix holder should really contact RIDB to remove the incorrect one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any more question?
Some of the route object is not only in RIDB. I think RIP is also mirrored to RIDB, and RIP RIP is difficult to contact. Actually, I have one scenario, and I stay contact to this RIP, but don't respond. I think RIP is sponsored by Tesla, right?
Do you mean the
another
CC?
Yeah. Another, I think RIP RIPE RIP is mirrored to this RIDB record, right? So sometimes it's very difficult to contact to this RIP, and then also the previous owner, they usually no respond or they never monitor their mailbox.
Okay.
In this case, how can I solve it?
I'm just wondering if you have the correct contact of Ripen CC.
Yeah, RIDB get me the contact for the RIP, but I contact to this email address, but they never respond.
Okay. So
In this case, how can I do it and how can I solve it?
if you contact the correct contact person in Ripen CC, they should give you a response. Are you referring to Ripen CC in the Europe? European region?
Yeah. The
Yes.
RIPE, yes, another
RIPE.
PE RIP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
they mirror to this RDB record. Yeah.
Yeah.
But RDB is very fast. They clean up for when I tell them they clean up for us. But this RIP, they not clean up, and I sent about many emails, but they not respond yet.
Okay, not a problem. So after this presentation,
Mm.
please come to me and we can have a chat.
Oh, okay.
I can help you to send an email and
Email,
contact
correct
Ripe,
contact. Okay,
because
good.
we
Thank-
have the correct contact details for Ripen
Okay,
CC.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay, not a problem.
Any more question? So, thank you, Mr. Sen. We will present to you